I noticed the man with two kebabs as soon as I pulled up in the car. I was there to pick up my wife from work and often used the spaces in front of the supermarket. At that time of night it was closed, so there was usually some spots that were free. I assumed he'd been to Gula's kebab shop further down the high street. He did look comical. He was standing there with both hands full. He did look quite awkward. Mind you, would you have wanted to have been seen standing alone in the street with a kebab in each hand? He kept glancing in the direction of oncoming traffic, and then he'd glance down at one of the kebabs and then the other one. They weren't wrapped completely, they were open on the top, which meant that access was easy to both of them. The thought of spicy lamb, salad, chilli sauce wrapped in a pita bread envelope sent my salivary glands into overtime. All I had to satisfy my hunger was a packet of chewing gum in the glove compartment. Hardly a comparison. It didn't really seem fair that he had more than he needed. I hadn't eaten a kebab for years and felt this wave of nostalgia for the old days. I could feel my nostrils twitching, seeking out the scent of those little savoury parcels. Silly, really. From where I was, I couldn't smell anything. It did make me wonder, though. I went and stared through the window of Gula's kebab shop. I couldn't stand the sight of him any longer. At least this way, I didn't have to look at him. The only problem was, it now opened me up to all the temptations that were on offer in the shop. Kebabs. Burgers. Buy one! My salivary glands screamed at me. You know you want to. Yes, buy one, agreed my nostrils. We didn't have to come here. We couldn't smell anything from the car. I glanced down at my watch. Jane wasn't going to be finished for another 5 minutes, and she never gets out of work on time. Question was, could I buy something and finish it? She was pretty strict with our diet. The sight of me munching down on food like that would have sent her into an absolute frenzy. She'd never let me forget it. Was it worth all the hassle? Yes! Screamed my hunger. No! Argued reason. Cowardice was also quite vocal in there as well. I don't know where I found the willpower, but I tore myself away from the window and I took myself back to the car. I did feel disappointed, but I was also quite pleased with myself. There was a time I'd have given in. Yeah, it would have been nice to have bought something, but what if Jane had finished early? There was always that chance. I got in the car and I glanced up at the supermarket. The man was only holding one kebab. I sat up and I glared at him. He'd polished off a kebab in the time it had taken me to go to the shop and back to the car. I felt angry and cheated, but I didn't really know why. I think it was probably because I'd resisted the temptation only to be met by his satisfied expression. They were his kebabs, though. You know, fair's fair. You know, he had been kept waiting, and if someone's going to be late, then they'll have to eat theirs cold. He glanced down at that second kebab. Don't you dare, I thought. That's for your friend. Yes, he may have kept you waiting, but there's no reason to... I watched and saw him free a single slither of lamb from its pita pocket prison with eager fingers and gobble it up. Then I watched him lift another one out and another. I lost all sense of time as I watched him devour the second kebab. It was only after it had finished that I realised it had taken him no time at all. You should have seen the look on his face. Sheer, unadulterated bliss. I felt sorry for his friend. Yeah, even though he kept him waiting, there was no reason to miss out altogether. He timed it well. No sooner had he finished than a car pulled up alongside him. I wound down the window. I thought, this had better be good. His words floated over as he got into the car. Yeah, don't worry, mate. Yeah, I got myself 2 kebabs to keep me going. They were both for him. He'd bought himself both kebabs. Greedy bastard, I thought.